Hey friends, let's talk about fear today. This video is going to be about fear and how it comes in different sizes. And if you've got a big fear, you got to tackle that one way. And if you've got a small fear, you're going to handle that a little differently. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and it is my mission to get love flowing in people's lives. Get love flowing in their relationships, start to feel more self-love, and look around them and feel like love is really coming at them and from them everywhere they turn. So let's dive into fear. This came up for me recently because I was doing something big. I was about to launch an online program. Some of you might be in that online program, and it was my first ever. And I've been coaching for a while and teaching live classes and doing live trainings. And so it wasn't like it was a new thing to write content and to put out a program, but it was the first time I ever did it live. I got to a point where I was getting close to the launch, where you're sending out your, your sales emails and you're putting your ads up, and I could sense fear, in the room, so to speak. And it was small, kind of just sitting in the corner, watching me, wanting to put in its 2 cents, but it was still there. And it made me think back to moments where I've had big fear. Like, it's looming and it is the only thing I'm hearing. And I have done the work that you guys do and are doing right now. I wouldn't ask that of anyone else if I hadn't done it myself. So I understand that fear now, whereas I didn't understand it before. It was just big fear. And if I was gonna go do something that was risky, that I thought could potentially result in me being rejected or not accepted or not acknowledged, I would be running from it. When I say running from it, I would just basically not take that step forward. I would let fear get the best of me. Now, I've dug underneath there, and I know that I, have for a long time had a core belief that acknowledgement and recognition are very important, and that I used to associate those with love. And so I needed those badly. In any situation where I potentially was going to have evidence that I wasn't going to be acknowledged was one to avoid, because I didn't want to find out if I was loved or not loved. So what would I do? That big fear would keep me from taking those risks. I would talk myself out of it and be like, oh, it's just not perfect enough yet, or maybe this isn't really the right direction I'm supposed to be heading in. I mean, I had all kinds of really slick tricks to get myself around the fear, not even around the fear, to talk myself out of the action so that I didn't have to deal with the fear, because the fear scared me off from it. I was running in the other direction. When you have big fear, what you need to do is you need to go in and do that work. You've got to figure out what it is that's happening right then. You're feeling that huge, scary, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, coming from the ego. And underneath that, way down there are core beliefs that are tied to our desire for love. And you've got to get in there and figure out what those are exactly. Start to recognize how they affect your thoughts, and then those affect your emotions. And so you know what's going on when you can feel those things arising. What happens after you work with that is that fear starts to lessen, and it becomes a smaller presence. So now, here I am, and I'm getting ready to push launch on this program, and I've got fear there, and fear's like just kind of whispering in the corner, like, hey, are you sure you want to do that? And for a moment I was like, I don't know. Am I sure I want to do this? There's a possibility that nobody wants to take the the challenge, that nobody wants to sign up for the course, nobody registers, it's a total flop. That's a possibility. Now, am I gonna tie myself to whether I'm lovable or not because that happens? No, I can talk myself around that. You know, I've done that big work, so I know I'll be able to be through it, get through it. So how am I going to deal with that small fear? Because it's there, you know, and I can feel that, you know, I can feel that I could talk myself out of pushing go. I could put it off and work on it a little bit more and get it more perfect and you know, just continue to delay that, or maybe even walk away from it entirely if I let fear get the best of me, but that's not an option. So I do have a few little ways that I handle fear because it's there and I know where it comes from, and you know, I've worked on that core belief and I know that that's not truth anymore, but I still have it right there, right? And I've got to figure out what to do with it. So here are some of the ways I do that. First, I ask myself, why? Why am I doing this? If what I'm doing is tied to service and to my life's purpose, then it's a lot easier to step through fear because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. If it's really about acknowledgement and recognition and me, then maybe I do need to reevaluate whether this is the right step or not. But if I know it's tied to my purpose and it's tied to helping people, then I'm a go. Another question to ask is what's the worst that could happen? You know, in the worst case scenario, it's a total flop, and I learn from that, right? I learn what went wrong, I can make adjustments, I can refine it, I can improve it so this is a success next time. And another thing I ask myself is if I choose to walk away, if I stop now, I don't push go, I don't move forward, you know, how am I going to feel after that deadline I have for myself comes and goes and I didn't do it? Am I gonna be okay with that? And most of the time, once I've answered the question of why am I doing it and got a yes, this is purpose driven, and then I ask myself the question, what's the worst that could happen? And I just come back with pretty much nothing is terrible. And then I get down with how I'm gonna feel about it, and I'm gonna feel terrible. I'm gonna feel like a loser, like a failure. I'm gonna have let myself down. I broke a promise to myself that I was gonna meet that deadline, and that's not an option. That's not an option for me. And so if I know that I'm gonna feel worse for it, then it's time to acknowledge the fear. There you are, sitting in the corner. But I'm pushing go and I'm moving forward regardless of the fact that you're present, and it's gonna be great and it's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna be better on the other side of it. So that's how you get to deal with it when you've got fear kind of squished down into a little bit of a smaller presence. If it's still a big presence and it's looming and it's stopping and you run from it and you don't do it and you don't move forward, and it's keeping you from all kinds of wonderful things in your life, then it's really time to get in and do the work. You know, what is the source of that fear, and what do you want to do with that now so that you get it to it? So it's just a little bit of fear that you've got to acknowledge and work through. So different kinds of fear, different kinds of actions to go with those. Thank you for joining me today. If you know somebody who battles with their own fears, please share with them, and your likes and comments are always appreciated. So I'll see you next time.